Hey guys, welcome to Y&R Daily Update YouTube channel. Today's topics: The Young and the Restless spoilers, Friday's full episodes, August 8, 2025. The tension in Genoa City is about to skyrocket as secrets and grudges bubble to the surface. Audra Charles, the often calculating and unpredictable character, is about to lose her temper in a way that could change the dynamics of the Newman and Abbott families forever. After a humiliating experience, her fury reaches its peak, and the storm she brings with her is one that no one will be able to ignore. As her emotions rage, the power players around her will be forced to confront their own actions and allegiances. Meanwhile, Nikki Newman is pushing for a strategic alliance that could shift the balance of power in Genoa City. She makes a bold request for Jack Abbott to cooperate with her formidable father, Victor Newman. The unexpected alliance between Jack and Victor threatens to open old wounds while also forging new power dynamics within the city. With the Newman family always in flux, Nikki's maneuvering might just be the key to solidifying their dominance over their competitors. But the tension between Victor and Jack, both strong-willed and driven by different motivations, could cause this alliance to implode just as easily as it's built. At the same time, Jill Abbott is furious with her son, Billy Abbott. Her frustration with his decisions, particularly with his inability to fully take control of his life and the family business, is bubbling over. As a matriarch of the Abbott family, Jill has always expected Billy to be the man she believed him to be. But his recent choices have left her doubting his capability. Their confrontation will be explosive and emotional, forcing Billy to reckon with the paths he's chosen and the consequences of his actions. Jill's wrath could be the wake-up call Billy needs to either step up or face the consequences of his failure. Amid all the chaos, Claire Newman finds herself stuck in the middle of family drama and love turmoil. Her relationship with Kyle Abbott is facing more challenges than ever. She's already been grappling with Victor's overbearing influence. And now, with everything coming to light, Claire's frustration boils over. Subscribe our channel for more latest update. She continues to confide in Kyle, venting about her grandfather's interference in her life. But as Claire prepares to meet with Adam Newman to discuss a potential deal over his apartment, she wants to get one thing straight first. Rotarv Claire will ask, her voice tinged with frustration. The situation has been building for weeks, and Claire can't shake the nagging feeling that there's more to the story than Kyle is letting on. Audra's actions in Nice have left a deep mark, and Claire needs answers. Kyle, ever the reluctant truth-teller, will hesitate. His relationship with Claire has always been one of honesty, but this conversation will be different. He knows that revealing the full extent of what happened with Audra could cause Claire even more emotional pain, and he's been protecting her from the harsh reality of his interactions with the woman who has been causing so much turmoil. It's complicated, Kyle will admit, his gaze dropping as he begins to process the weight of what he's about to tell her. I didn't tell you earlier because you've already been through enough. But Claire, not one to shy away from uncomfortable truths, will insist that she can handle it. Her eyes will narrow with determination as she presses him for the answers she knows she deserves. Kyle will explain reluctantly. Victor has been funding Audra's company in exchange for her promise to break ties with us. Claire's shock will be palpable as she absorbs this information, realizing just how deep the manipulation runs and how little control she truly has over the people in her life. What else did she do? Claire will ask, her tone heavy with suspicion. Kyle will take a deep breath, knowing that this next revelation will hurt Claire, but he can no longer hide the truth. She flirted with me a lot, and Nice, he will admit, his voice tight with guilt. Claire's face will harden as she processes the words, and the doubt will creep in. People don't break up because of flirting, Claire will reply, her voice edged with disbelief. Subscribe our channel for more latest update. What was the real plan? Kyle, with a pained expression, will finally admit the truth, albeit reluctantly. Her plan was to seduce me. That's what she wanted. She's been trying to get to me for months, but I didn't give in. The weight of Kyle's words will hang in the air, thick and oppressive. Claire, shocked but determined to understand, will ask the one question that lingers in the back of her mind. How far did she go? Kyle will hold her gaze, his sincerity unwavering as he responds, nothing happened. I wasn't interested in her. Not at all, in any situation. His voice will crack slightly, his eyes reflecting the pain of having hurt Claire with his secret, but as he pulls Claire into his arms, he will add softly, this is all I want in life, right here with you. Claire's heart will ache with relief as she feels Kyle's sincerity wash over her. She can't deny the bond they share. even as the world around them spins in chaos. But the emotional toll of these revelations will stay with her, forcing Claire to question her future with Kyle, and whether she can truly trust him after everything that's happened. The impact of Audra's schemes, Victor's manipulations, and Kyle's secret involvement will not be easily erased. Claire's journey is just beginning as she faces the difficult choice of whether to continue fighting for her relationship with Kyle or to walk away from the tangled web of lies and betrayal. As the layers of deceit continue to unfold, Claire will have to make a decision about who she can trust and who she will ultimately become. As Claire and Kyle's relationship teeters on the edge, the looming question remains: can they survive the secrets, the lies, and the shadow of their family's influence? Or will the weight of everything they've been through be too much for their bond to withstand? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: The Young and the Restless will continue to deliver heart-stopping drama as Claire and Kyle face their most challenging test yet. The tension in Genoa City continues to build as old alliances crumble. New ones are forged, and characters struggle with their own choices and loyalties. Audra Charles, ever the cunning and determined woman, is not one to give up easily. She knows that she has a limited window to prove herself to Victor Newman to ensure that her place in the Newman legacy remains secure. After the disastrous turn of events in Nice, she's not about to let things slide without a fight. She approaches Victor, confident that she can still sway him, still make him see things her way. "Don't back down now," Audra urges him, her voice laced with a mixture of desperation and calculation. She leans in, attempting to make him understand the gravity of the situation. "I've already started planting seeds with Claire about Nice. Every word I've spoken to her, every promise you've made me, it's getting etched in her mind. She'll never forget it." Victor, however, is unmoved. His face hardens, and the coldness in his eyes reveals just how little patience he has left for Audra. "You had your chance," he says, his voice firm and unforgiving. "You failed." He pauses, giving her a piercing look. "And now we're done." Audra's eyes flash with frustration, but she knows that arguing further would only push her deeper into Victor's disfavor. The doors are closing on her, and it's unclear whether she will be able to maneuver her way back into Victor's good graces. Subscribe our channel for more latest update. For now, all she can do is retreat and reassess her options. There's always another angle, another opportunity in Genoa City. But her failure with Victor has certainly put a stain on her plans. Meanwhile, at Crimson Lights, Nikki Newman finds herself tangled in a different set of complications. As always, she's wrestling with the intricacies of family and business, particularly when it comes to Kane Ashby. Her recent victory of getting back home should have been a moment of relief, yet the lingering feeling of entrapment remains, a direct result of the web that Kane has spun around her family. "It's wonderful to be home, but it still feels like we're stuck in a maze that Kane has created for us," Nikki confesses to Jack Abbott, her voice heavy with frustration. The weight of what nearly happened, the almost disastrous handover of Chancellor Industries to Kane, is still fresh in her mind. She had come dangerously close to making a grave mistake, one that would have undoubtedly changed the course of her family's future. Jack listens intently, his concern growing as Nikki reveals just how close they came to losing everything. But Jack's mind is focused on another pressing issue. "How does Victor feel about this?" he asks, his tone inquisitive, though Nikki's response will be one of hesitation. Nikki sighs, her hands shaking slightly as she gathers her thoughts. "He doesn't know," she admits, a mix of guilt and resignation in her voice. "I haven't told him the full extent of what almost happened, but I couldn't let Kane get his hands on Chancellor." The conversation shifts as Nikki begins to strategize. "We need to find a way to stop him," she says firmly. "Have you ever considered working with Victor to take Kane down?" Her words hang in the air, and Jack stares at her, clearly taken aback by the suggestion. The idea of joining forces with Victor, a man whose motives Jack often distrusts, doesn't sit well with him. Jack's response is measured, his voice thick with skepticism. "All I can promise is that I'll do whatever it takes to protect my family and my company. But I'm not going to negotiate with someone as arrogant and ruthless as Victor." His refusal is steadfast, but it doesn't dismiss the underlying tension in the room. There's an unspoken understanding that something must be done to neutralize the threat Kane represents. Before the conversation can go any further, the door to Crimson Lights opens and in walks Audra, her presence immediately altering the dynamic of the conversation. Nikki's expression hardens, but Jack remains composed. Audra's return is unwelcome, especially considering her involvement with Victor and the way she has been causing so much disruption in their lives. Nikki doesn't waste time addressing the issue head-on. Victor has been funding your company, she says sharply, her voice laced with disdain, all to help him split Kyle and Clare apart. It's clear you're a pawn in his game. Audra doesn't flinch. She's used to being underestimated and belittled, but this time she's not backing down. With a confident smirk, she meets Nikki's gaze, her words defiant. I'm happy in Genoa City, she replies coldly. And I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. Nikki, her patience worn thin, delivers her final blow. You're no longer welcome here, she says bluntly, her tone cutting through the tension in the room like a knife. But Audra doesn't seem fazed by Nikki's words. She stands tall, unshaken by the confrontation, and for the first time, she realizes the stakes have changed. She may not be welcomed by Nikki, but she has no intention of leaving Genoa City anytime soon. There's still a lot of power to be gained here, and she will do whatever it takes to secure her position. Nikki watches Audra with a mixture of contempt and caution. She knows that Audra is a formidable player in this game, and it's only a matter of time before she tries to make her next move. But for now, at least, Nikki has made her intentions clear. If Audra thinks she can just waltz in and disrupt everything, she's got another thing coming. As Audra exits, the tension in the room remains palpable. Nikki knows that the battle is far from over. The future of her family, her business, and her legacy are at stake, and she will stop at nothing to protect them. The war for control in Genoa City is heating up, and everyone from Victor to Kane to Audra is a player in this high-stakes game. But the question remains, who will come out on top, and who will be left behind in the wake of the chaos? The tension in the hotel room was palpable as Billy stared across at his mother, Jill, with a mixture of frustration and confusion. The weight of family secrets, power struggles, and unresolved emotions hung in the air, making it almost impossible for Billy to process everything at once. As the conversation took a sharp turn toward Kane's past, the question on his mind had to be addressed. Mom, Billy began, his voice tinged with bitterness. When did you find out that Kane was demon? He had expected the question to hit hard, but nothing could prepare him for the storm of emotions that followed. Jill didn't flinch. She didn't even blink. Instead, she met Billy's gaze with a calm, almost dismissive look. Is that really what you're concerned about right now? She replied, her tone sharp, almost as though she was too exhausted to care. Billy opened his mouth, ready to retort, but Jill continued before he could get a word in. My grandson just died. Billy. My grandson, your cousin, the only child Na had. And you haven't even mentioned his name. Billy froze. His mother's words hit him like a punch to the gut. He had been so wrapped up in his own world of betrayal, business dealings, and the chaos surrounding Kane's identity that he hadn't stopped to think about the immense grief his mother must be going through. Chance's death was a loss that transcended the personal drama he'd been so focused on, but even so, he couldn't ignore the dark cloud hanging over everything. The ever-present tension with Kane. I was with Chance when he died, Billy said, his voice quieter now, but still carrying the weight of his guilt. His words barely registered with Jill, who was too consumed by her own pain to care about anything other than the loss of her beloved grandson. Jill's eyes narrowed as she fixed Billy with a hard stare. You didn't call me when it happened, did you, Billy? Her voice wavered with the hint of a deep-seated hurt. Do you want to tell me why you didn't pick up the phone and call me when someone in our family passed away? Billy's frustration began to mount again. I thought Kane was the one who called you, Mom, he snapped, though there was an underlying sense of guilt in his tone. His assistant made the call right from his house. Jill let out a slow, almost defeated sigh, the exhaustion of dealing with years of family drama evident in her expression. Well, that's convenient, isn't it? She muttered, shaking her head. But, before Billy could respond, she shifted the conversation to something that had been eating at her heart for a long time. You want to talk about Kane's identity? Subscribe our channel for more latest update. Fine, Jill said sharply. But let's talk about something that really matters. You sold Chancellor to Victor of all people. Victor Newman, the last person in the world you should have trusted with the company your father built. Billy was taken aback by the harshness of her words, but he couldn't deny the truth in them. He had made decisions that he was now regretting, and Jill's words stung more than he cared to admit. I know what I did, Mom, he said, his voice thick with frustration. But none of that changes the fact that you knew Kane was Dama's a long time ago, didn't you? Gilyunk's expression hardened, and for a moment, the walls around her seemed to close in. The truth of Kane's identity was one of the darkest secrets in their family, and it had cast a long shadow over everything. She wasn't about to deny it. Yes, Billy, I knew. And when Kane called me to tell me that Colin Atkinson was about to die, I didn't hesitate. I got on a plane and went straight to Nice to hold his hand. Billy's mouth went dry. He wasn't sure what hurt more, the fact that Jill had kept this secret from him for so long, or the brutal honesty in her voice now. She hadn't just been hiding Kane's identity from the family. She had flown across the world to stand by his side as he faced the end of his life. He couldn't contain his anger anymore. Why does any of this matter right now, Mom? Billy shot back, his voice trembling with emotion. Chance is gone and we're sitting here arguing about Kane, about who knew what, when. None of that matters anymore. Jill's face softened, but the grief in her eyes was unmistakable. If you can't see that it matters, Billy, then I'm going to have a hard time understanding you, she said quietly. Chance is gone. Yes, but if you can't even grasp that I'm dealing with the death of my grandson right now, if you can't understand how much that hurts, then I'm not sure how much I can help you. Billy was silent for a long moment, and when he spoke again, his words were laced with guilt and regret. I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't mean to hurt you. Jill let out a shaky breath and reached out to place a hand on his arm. Though it was clear she was still wrestling with her own emotions. I know you didn't, Billy, but there are things bigger than our family drama. Chance's death has put everything in perspective for me. I need to mourn, I need to grieve, and I need to hold on to the memory of my grandson. But I also need you to understand that some things are beyond our control. Billy nodded, his emotions raw, but the truth of her words cut deep. Before the conversation could continue, there was a brief pause as Billy took a moment to collect himself. But his frustration wasn't entirely gone. He needed answers. Answers about Kane, answers about his family, and answers about the decisions he had made. He finally stood up, determination setting in his voice. Is the offer still on the table? Billy asked Kane, who had been standing off to the side, quiet until now. Kane met his gaze without hesitation. Yes, Billy. The offer's still on the table. But you know what you're walking into. Billy didn't need to hear more. He was done arguing, done with the apologies, and done with the second guessing. I'll be in touch, he said shortly, turning to leave the room. As he stepped toward the door, Kane called after him. Billy, he said, his voice calm but insistent. We're greater than in this together. Don't forget that. Billy's steps faltered for just a moment, but he kept moving. The weight of everything, family, betrayal, loss, was heavy on his shoulders. But the truth was clear now. He had a choice to make, and whatever path he chose, there would be no turning back. Subscribe our channel for more latest update. The upcoming episode of The Young and the Restless, airing on August 8, 2025, is packed with intense drama, shifting alliances, and emotional confrontations in Genoa City. The narrative centers around the Newman and Abbott families, where long-held secrets and simmering grudges reach a boiling point. Audra Charles, a cunning and unpredictable figure, erupts in anger following a humiliating experience, threatening to upend the delicate balance of power between the Newmans and Abbotts. Nikki Newman, seeking to fortify her family's dominance, pushes for an alliance between Jack Abbott and her father, Victor Newman, stirring tension between the two powerful men. Meanwhile, Jill Abbott expresses fierce disappointment and frustration with her son Billy's recent decisions, particularly his failure to take full control of the family business, igniting an emotional confrontation that forces Billy to face the consequences of his actions. At the same time, Claire Newman finds herself entangled in family drama and romantic turmoil as she confronts Kyle Abbott about the manipulations orchestrated by Victor and Audra. The truth Kyle reveals, including Audra's attempts to seduce him to break his relationship with Claire, shakes Claire to her core, forcing her to question her future with Kyle and the loyalties within her family. Audra's scheming continues as she tries to regain favor with Victor after a setback in Nice. But Victor's patience wears thin, and he appears ready to cut ties with her. Nikki, meanwhile, remains locked in a battle against Kane Ashby, whose manipulative tactics threaten the Newman family's control over Chancellor Industries. Nikki proposes an uneasy alliance with Victor to stop Kane. But Jack is skeptical of partnering with Victor due to his ruthless reputation. Audra's unexpected return to Crimson Lights further escalates tensions, leading to a fierce verbal confrontation with Nikki. In a separate but connected storyline, Billy grapples with grief over the death of his cousin, Chance, and the revelation that his mother Jill has long known Kane's true identity as Dama's. The family's secrets weigh heavily on Billy, Jill, and Kane as they navigate loss, betrayal, and the high stakes of business and family loyalty. The episode ends on a note of unresolved tension, with Billy facing a pivotal decision regarding an offer from Kane, signaling that the power struggles and emotional battles in Genoa City are far from over. Highlights: Audra, Charles loses her temper, threatening the Newman and Abbott family dynamics. Nikki Newman proposes a strategic alliance between Jack Abbott and Victor Newman. Jill Abbott confronts her son Billy about his decisions and leadership failures. Claire Newman discovers Audra's manipulative attempts to sabotage her relationship with Kyle Abbott. Victor Newman cuts ties with Audra after her failure to deliver on promises. Nikki battles Kane Ashby's manipulations threatening the Newman empire. Billy Abbott faces grief, family secrets, and a consequential offer from Kane. Key insights: Audra's volatility as a catalyst for change. Audra Charles' outburst is more than just emotional. It represents a critical turning point that could reshape the power structure in Genoa City. Her unpredictable nature makes her a wild card, capable of disrupting alliances and forcing characters to reassess loyalties. This volatility introduces a heightened level of suspense, as her actions could either make or break the fragile peace among the Newmans and Abbotts. Nikki's strategic maneuvering underscores power dynamics. Nikki Newman's push for cooperation between Jack Abbott and Victor Newman reveals her keen understanding of the political landscape in Genoa City. By attempting to unite two historically contentious figures, Nikki aims to consolidate power and protect her family's legacy. However, the inherent distrust between Jack and Victor highlights the precariousness of such alliances, emphasizing that power in Genoa City is as much about negotiation as it is about dominance. Family expectations and leadership pressure. On Billy Abbott, Jill Abbott's confrontation with Billy spotlights the generational and leadership tensions within the Abbott family. Jill's disappointment reflects not only personal frustration but also the broader theme of responsibility and legacy that permeates the show. Billy's struggle with stepping into a leadership role amid family crises and business challenges illustrates the complex interplay of personal growth and external expectations. The emotional complexity of Clare and Kyle's relationship. Claire's discovery of Audra's manipulative flirtations with Kyle adds layers of emotional conflict and mistrust. Kyle's reluctance to reveal the full truth to Claire, paired with her insistence on transparency, underscores the difficulties couples face when family secrets and external manipulations interfere with trust. This subplot highlights the vulnerability of relationships in high-stakes family dramas and questions the resilience of love amid deception. Victor Newman's ruthless pragmatism. Victor's decision to sever ties with Audra after her failure illustrates his cold, business-first approach. His impatience with failure and readiness to cut people loose reinforces his role as a formidable and often feared patriarch in Genoa City. This move signals to viewers that Victor prioritizes results over personal loyalty, shaping the environment where only the strongest survive. Kane Ashby as a persistent antagonist. Kane's manipulative tactics and the threat he poses to the Newman family's control introduce a constant external pressure that unites and divides the characters. His presence forces unlikely alliances and strategic decisions, driving much of the episode's tension. Nikki's near loss of Chancellor Industries to Kane reveals the high stakes of corporate control and the vulnerability even powerful families face. The impact of grief and secrets on family unity. The subplot involving Billy, Jill, and Kane, particularly surrounding the death of Chance and Kane's concealed identity, explores how grief and hidden truths strain family bonds. Jill's candid admission of knowing Kane's true identity and her grief over Chance's death adds emotional depth and complexity to the storyline. Billy's guilt and frustration reflect the difficulty of balancing personal loss with business responsibilities and complicated family dynamics. This storyline emphasizes that, despite the cutthroat power struggles, emotional pain remains a powerful force shaping characters' decisions. Overall, this episode promises a rich blend of power plays, emotional confrontations, and intricate relationships that continue to define the young and the restless. The themes of manipulation, loyalty, grief, and ambition are interwoven to create a compelling narrative that keeps viewers deeply engaged in the unfolding drama of Genoa City.